What's up, everybody? KG here, founder of the InternetMoney.io wallet, here today with an exciting stream interview for you. I've seen the comments blowing up before the stream even started. I see some people needing their dose of hopium. I've seen some people with some intense FUD. I've seen people being extremely bullish. This stream has been circulating on X and Telegram, and people are excited to see what Jack has to say. And shortly before we started this stream, Jack said no question is off the table. So if you have a question for him, we'll do our best to get to all the questions. We've got a lot of comments coming in. So if you want to guarantee that your question gets asked, drop a super chat, because that gets pushed to the top and pinned, and I'll know that I will be able to get to it. So we're going to talk about Ethereum. We're going to talk about Solana. We're going to ask him about some updates regarding the Xen ecosystem. I've seen talk about X1, Xen blocks, and just in general, where the ecosystem is at. We're also going to talk some general crypto, answer any and all questions. So if you want to get your question addressed, make sure to drop a super chat. Otherwise, I will do my best to get to it. And when we come right back, Jack will be on screen. Thanks for being here, everybody.
Got my own keys and my own coin. Gotta protect this money. Took too long for me to get it. Can't let them take this from me.
Cypherius,
hello.
Mr. Levin, how are you?
I am good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Excited to be here with you again. For those that don't know, Jack and I have been streaming for years together at this point.
Years, which is like, decades in real life.
I actually, the Xen launch day, the original first Xen launch, what is still to this day my highest viewed live stream watchers. I had almost 700 people live watching that stream. Still my peak.
Wow. And that was in the belly of the bear market.
Deep in the belly of the bear.
Yeah.
But
the best time to do crazy things is the bear.
But man, you've been building a community. You kind of came out of, I guess, the Google dungeons, and then all of a sudden showed up and started, draining blood and all that stuff.
Well, I often say that I was born in Mexico, in the in the trailer park.
They actually went a meme, the Pulse Trailer Park. I don't know if you saw, that was kind of a funny.
I saw that. Yeah. Eric Wall refers to Hexicans as the trailer park people, which is both hilarious and very demeaning at the same time. So, I mean, I have a lot of friends in Hex community. I was just hanging out with Matty Allen at Consensus. We have had great time. We were, hitting a party after party after party all together, taking selfies, and everything was awesome. Yeah, so I was, born in Mexico in a way that I discovered that Elon bought Twitter at the time, and I decided to come back. And I saw that I have quite a few followers, probably because I have very busy running startup companies in Silicon Valley, and people were following me. But I haven't been on Twitter like literally for 7 years. So I come back 7 years later, and I started, going through topics like Bitcoin and crypto in general, so on and so forth. I have discovered that there is this niche within Twitter X, which is called crypto Twitter, or I think it's called CT short. So like that's kind of like if you're engaged with the crypto community, is all you see is crypto, because Twitter's algorithm basically will be feeding you all of the content that you're most likely to react to. And so anyway, Hex shows up, offers 38% APR and all that stuff, and we're kind of like starting this like DeFi summer, like so to speak. And I checked with my friends, like, what the hell is Hex? And they're like, oh, this is like Richard Hart and blah, blah, blah. He kind of looks like a scammer, but he's not. There's also Pulse Chain. And that's like when I really got interested, because I thought that, hey, new blockchains are always cool. Need to do some research. And then I kind of like forgot about it for a week. And then a week later, I get this Hexagon postcard with the 38%. And I think, well, that must be a sign. I got to pay more attention to that. And so I started engaging with people on Twitter. And before I know, all of a sudden, a bunch of people from the Hexagon community starting to stream with me. And we keep making jokes about launching apple cider vinegar coin. And then I thought, well, apple cider vinegar coin is kind of like a meme. Maybe we should do something more interesting like Bitcoin on Ethereum. And so the idea of Xen was born, which is a fairly distributed token that you mint with time and your participation, and you only need to pay gas. Essentially, it's an 8-year airdrop, if you think about it, because you're interacting with a contract. You click on start your mint time, you select the time and days, and the longer you wait, the longer it compounds, or like your airdrop compounds until the due date where you have to claim it. And if you don't claim it on time, it basically never gets minted, it disappears. So you have 7 days to mint it. The longer you wait, the more you make, but you actually have higher risk, obviously, because anything can happen to the market and to the value. And so I often say that it's an 8-year airdrop. With every day, the supply gets smaller because the time basically goes against in your favor, which is like similar to Bitcoin halvening. So Bitcoin halvening happens every 4 years. Here with Xen, it happens every day, except it's not halvening. It's more like 0.5% reduction in your amplification of what you can get with Xen in the future. But it's a cool idea because it's really borrows the DNA of Bitcoin, which is based on a lot of first principles, which is, in my book, is self-custody, open source, trust through consensus, decentralization, immutability, all of those things. And Xen embodies all of those things together, which I think is why it's so popular on all the 12 different chains that we're on, obviously including Ethereum. I think at this point we have about 500,000 wallets that we can count as Xenians or Xenian wallets because they have at some point interacted with Xen.
So coming up through Hexaco and transitioning to Xen, which it makes sense why you liked the Hex community, because the ideals of DeFi were being propagated from the community. I consider myself a part of the Hex and Pulse Chain community. And that was actually one of the things that attracted me, actually was probably the most powerful thing that attracted me to the community in the beginning. And so I know that that has been a big part of the inspiration for you building Xen, not necessarily Hex, but the similar ideals, right? Because yeah, part of crypto is we all want to make money, but also part of crypto is, we want to separate ourselves from that control. We want censorship resistance. We want financial freedom, more in the sense of just, hey, not just getting those ones and zeros, but being able to do with your money what you want to do, regardless of what anybody else has to say about it. So I completely resonate with you there. And let me ask you this question as well, too, because you're on Xen, you brought that up. I know in the past you were working on X1, and is that still a thing? Because I've also heard Xen blocks. Is that the new blockchain? Can you kind of educate me there on is X1 still alive? Is Xen blocks a blockchain? Kind of just educate me on how Xen, the coin token, goes to Xen, the blockchain.
Okay, so just to go back a little bit before answering this question, I actually never thought that I would be working on a blockchain. Similarly, how I didn't think I would be launching a coin. But it seems to be that the narrative for builders is, first you build some sort of a protocol. If it gets gets fire, if it gets popular, then you continue to work on it. Maybe you enhance it, but since Xen is immutable, you can't really work on it. You can only build other protocols on top of it that uses it. The one path A would be just to build some sort of a DeFi thing where Xen is being used as currency and it plugs into it. And the path B would be to build a platform which is basically a forked blockchain that implements the economic energy that and user activity that Xen is harnessing across the ecosystem. And so path B seem to be more optimal just because it matches my experience with building large systems. Obviously, at Google, I have spent quite a bit of time making Google go fast, which is not that dissimilar from making databases or ledgers go fast. And so I just figured that it's definitely up my alley to fork a blockchain, make it run a little bit faster, and then implement Xen as either currency onboarding mechanism or just plug in the Xen value into the blockchain itself. So currently we have a fork of Solana, which is the first fork of Solana ever. I don't actually see any testnets running with Solana SVM code base. So we have about 40 validators right now, and it's running well. We have tested it at about 52,000 TPS, which is incredibly high, given the fact that those 40 nodes are dispersed around the world, and it's not like in a lab or anything. It's like real users, real node operators using diversity of platforms to run their nodes. And when I was actually testing SVM in the lab, I was able to achieve 100,000 TPS, which is a stark comparison to ever testing in EVM, which is the fastest EVM that I have found was Phantom. So we tested Phantom at about 9,000 TPS, and it wouldn't go any faster before you run out of resources. And the main difference between SVM and EVM is that EVM executes a single thread where all of the transactions are batched into a block, and then they are executed sequentially, one after another, basically just using a single core of a computer or of a node. Now, what Solana can do, Solana can actually execute transactions in parallel, assuming they're not touching the same state. So like, for example, I'm sending money to you, and Zensu sends money to Simple Waters or whatever, like A to B and C to D. We're not touching each other's state. We're independent transactions. Solana is able to execute those transactions on two different threads using two different cores. So obviously you can basically tell that if you multiply this by 1,000, and there's thousands or maybe millions of users, the ability to use the hardware to its utmost potential, the SVM is optimized for that specific thing, and it actually works pretty well. And so the test in the lab was showing that we can run hundreds of transfers per second of user pairs A to B and C to D and E to F and so on, and able to utilize the full capacity of the server. You could see the CPU would be like 99%, pretty much running at the highest speed possible. Where with Ethereum, because you're running on a single thread, it doesn't matter if the state isn't touched. Again, A to B, C to D, it's all like done in sequence. So whoever pays the higher fee gets executed first, but then like C to D has to wait for A to B to complete. And when you look at the hardware and you see a single thread running, that actually means that only single core of your node is operational. Now that's extremely inefficient in terms of the software design. And also, if you think about it, most of the computers that are running in data centers, they're running 16 cores plus. So Ethereum is 1/16 of the CPU capacity, so to speak, when it comes to transaction execution. So basically, the 15/16 of the CPU capacity is just sitting there chilling, doing nothing. So now Ethereum folks describe it as a good idea because you can run an Ethereum node on the Raspberry Pi, and it's cool. I mean, like I love small, tiny computers or in a Matchbox, so on and so forth. But when it comes to adopting the masses into this sort of a platform, clearly there are scaling challenges. And one of those scaling challenges translate to higher gas, because when you have limited capacity and you're processing things in a single thread and you have a lot of high demand coming in, all of a sudden the whole chain becomes a hot spot. Like literally, like somebody launches an NFT project, nobody can trade. Or somebody's trading very rapidly, nobody can transfer or mint NFTs, and vice versa. So point is, a single hotspot of any kind on Ethereum makes the whole chain pretty much unusable for the regular transfers and so on and so forth, or regular transactions, or any other types of transactions. Now, the scaling solution for Ethereum is obviously L2s. Vitalik and the Ethereum Foundation very much supports that. They used to support sharding, where they thought that they're going to shard Ethereum into the application subcomponents, where each application is specific to its function. Like maybe there would be like an NFT app within Ethereum. Maybe transfers would not be affected by hot mints. Maybe ERC20, whatever subcategory, be something else, and so on and so forth. So that's sharding. And what we see now is that they basically decided that it's much easier to reduce the cost for onboarding of layer 2s to use Ethereum as a data availability stack. So DA layer, basically. Distributed data availability that's decentralized enough for L2s to execute transactions off-chain. And when I say off-chain, it's off mainnet. And basically settle on Ethereum by using rollups. So one of the very, very good sites is rollups.wtf. Rollups.wtf. If you want to bring it up, it's actually very, very cool to see. And we can talk quickly about what we're seeing there, because it's a very, very cool view into the Ethereum ecosystem. And while you're bringing it up, obviously, the direct answer to your question is X1 a thing. Absolutely, it is a thing. It's currently running. We have this giant validator community that's currently running Solana fork validator nodes, and we're basically testing it at this point.
Okay,
so rollups.wtf.
All right, I got it pulled up here, and you said a lot of good info about the comparison between Solana and Ethereum. So I do want to dive into that. But just for everybody watching, for all the hundreds of questions coming in, X1 is still being built, and it is a fork of Solana.
Yes, X1 is being built. It's a fork of Solana with EVM being on the roadmap as a modular plugin so that people can actually use Solidity on it as well.
Okay. And all right, so that should have addressed a lot of people's questions. And, another question I'm getting is timeline. Obviously, when launch is another big question out there.
Yeah, well, it's a simple answer: when it's ready. So
that is, I'm in an interesting position, because while I do all this streaming stuff, I'm also a product founder myself. So building software, you do your best to identify when you think the launch is going to occur, and you try to work backwards and break down all the things that you have to address. But there's this concept in software called the unknown unknowns, and you don't know what you don't know until you're in there and realizing that, hey, this is something we have to address now. Hey, we're going to launch tomorrow. Oh, wait, actually, there was XYZ that now we got to spend more time. It's kind of like a contractor when he goes in and says, hey, I can remodel your bathroom. It'll take a month. But then he takes down one of the walls and there's termites and black mold and, whatever else. So now it's not going to take a month.
That's it's so termites and black mold. Obviously, this is unfortunately something that we discovered with Phantom. So Phantom, in my book, is one of the fastest EVM ecosystems or blockchains ever produced, and we've been working with that code base for a while. Now, all of a sudden, they basically announced that they're closing the source for a portion of their project, which is like, well, like, wait a second. That's a bummer, because that actually means that any sort of features that they will ever produce, we cannot backport into our fork. And so they also have outright told us that they're not going to support forking, even though a large portion of the project is open source. So we figured like it would be a disservice to a community if we did a fork of something that's like literally closing their source and migrating from the existing code base, which called Phantom Opera, to something called Sonic. So they're doing full rebranding, full relaunch, and closing the source in the process. Or at least that's what their license says. I mean, like, it's not like really closed source that you can't download it, but the license prohibits you from using that technology anywhere but their own testnet and mainnet. That's how the license reads. And so if we can't use that tech for experimentation and development, that's a major showstopper. So after we tested Phantom and actually fixed a ton of bugs, we accelerated, I think, the stock source code base from like 400 transactions per second to about 9,000, which is I'm very proud of. I'm proud of my team be able to achieve that. So that looked like really, really, really good thing and good idea to continue to work with Phantom. But then all of a sudden the news come out that, hey, like there's this licensing change, and that puts basically a break on innovation from our side, because we can't innovate with somebody's code base when the license prohibits that sort of a thing. And so I started looking for alternatives, and clearly I didn't want to go lower than 9,000 TPS. And what I discovered that Solana can do 100,000 TPS. So I figured, why not have an SVM and EVM combined into a single platform and just go with that? And it seems that Solana is continuing to be open source. They're shipping rapidly. We have been interacting with their core development team. They're not at all unsupportive. In fact, they have came forward and they said that you guys should fork us. And so that came from the founder, basically. So I figured, like, if the founder says that we should fork you, then by all means, this is a green light of basically for us to continue to develop and get things off the ground.
So this is actually a point that, so Northman says Solana stops working every month. I mean, okay, maybe that's a slightly dramatic statement, but Solana is known for going down. So all those other things you said about Solana, I'm not a Solana hater by any means, but they're all secondary to chain reliability. Would you like, okay, sure, you could do 100,000 TPS, but what does it matter if you're doing 0 TPS because the chain is down, right? So Ethereum might be a little slower, but it's going to be there.
Yeah. So I absolutely agree. And I have actually, when I first started researching Solana a year ago, I have given them a lot of heat, like, so to speak.
Gotcha.
Not in a bad way. The last time that they went down, I actually requested a postmortem. They wrote a postmortem. I didn't like it. And so I rewritten it in my own language, in my own words, how we would write it at Google, and actually posted a PDF on Twitter.
Wow.
And so I figured that after that, they're really going to hate me, because I just called them out on not doing the right things and potentially not learning as far as like what they should be doing in the future. Maybe there's way too many bugs. Maybe the bug resolution is handled wrong. Like a lot of things I do not know as an outsider, because Obviously, I don't work for Solana, but from the outsider perspective, it seems to be that there were like some really, really low hanging fruits, like so to speak, that they could execute on and actually be more stable. Like, for example, the last time they went down, it was actually, I believe, and I wrote it in my postmortem for Solana, I believe it was a malicious act by somebody from within Solana's ecosystem.
Oh, wow.
Somebody discovered the bug and then shorted Solana probably somewhere on some exchange and caused it to go down by executing malicious code. So that obviously is a problem. Now, how it came to be is that the Solana's DevNet went down due to a bug, and then the bug description was checked into the code base. It was open source. Somebody read that check-in and figured, hey, I'm going to make some money by killing Solana, or at least maybe I'll become infamous for doing so. And basically executed some bad instructions, and the whole cluster went down. And so, yeah, I mean, like, there are major challenges with Solana when it comes to stability. However, I would say, even though they have went down 11 or 12 times, even though the DeFi average traffic on Solana is now eclipsing Ethereum almost every week. So, like, in other words, there's more economic activity on a chain that is less stable than Ethereum happening on Solana. Now, a lot of people would say, well, those are just the bots. Okay, well, fine. But where's the money coming from? If you're a bot, aren't you there to make money rather than to spend money? So who is spending money then? So the point is, like, no matter whether there's bots or not, and obviously there's a lot of automation on Solana because it's just so fast, somebody is actually spending money because they feel like they can have an economic opportunity within the chain. Now, if we look back at Ethereum, if we look at last weekend, Gwei was 1, like literally 1.
Right.
Which is higher than I have ever seen. I'm sorry, it's lower than I have ever seen in the bear market. So 2 years ago, the lowest Gwei was 3, maybe 4. But never have seen Gwei at 1. It basically means the chain is idle. So the answer begs the question: did they fix Ethereum somehow, or
right,
maybe all the users left somewhere else?
That really is the big question. Did some of these upgrades work, or did it just get less popular? That really is the big question. And I'm sure there's metrics to measure that. I don't have those. I don't have that answer, but I hear you. I hear what you're saying. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
Yeah. So it looks like from the metrics, the active wallets have been diminishing, where all of the L2s have been gaining user base. So all of the L2s is like this giant distributed vampire attack on Ethereum. Because think about it, it's perfect. You don't have to launch your coin. You don't have to hype it. All you have to do is download Opstack, put it on 3 of your servers for, one is a sequencer, the other one is like as a prover, and the third one is just a backup. They're all running in your mom's garage or whatever, your mom's data center, whatever that is. And all you do is like you brand it with your brand. And now you have a bridge that's been proven to work, and you're just using the Ethereum as the native coin for that chain. So you're immediately bootstrapped, and now you can invite the community, or you can do DeFi things. You can build application-specific, options for that particular chain. And well, if there's an economic opportunity for an airdrop, for example, an L2.xyz, the new L2, it's actually sucking in the economic energy from Ethereum, and people are coming to this new chain because they're expecting some sort of an airdrop that they can easily move back to the Ethereum mainnet and sell. So it's perfect. It's a perfect vampire attack on Ethereum mainnet, the way that I see it. And so, and if you look at the investor community, if you look at the VCs, as soon as you bring a white paper with an L2 in its title, you're getting like $50 million, like blank check, like literally. You don't even have to say anything. because everybody understands that you're literally plugging into an Ethereum as an application chain, and you will have all of the Ethereum users, because that has been a proven type of action that we have seen so far, and that's why the GUI is low, because like nobody left on Ethereum. I mean, I'm obviously it's hyperbole to say that there's no users, but clearly when Ethereum was running at 50 GUI, there were 50 times more demand for Ethereum than when Ethereum runs at 1 GUI. So no doubt that is the case. So a lot of people went to L2s, and a lot of people went to Solana, and Ethereum kind of like been left as a settlement layer for the rest of the application chains that are L2s.
Right. And I think what's driving crypto right now is the big narrative is basically the same narrative that you hear in a casino. Am I going to win the lottery? And people associate winning the lottery in crypto with meme coins and the degeneracy side of crypto, which look, I play in that industry of crypto too. That's fine. No judgment cast, but that is the overarching sentiment is, oh, what coin can I throw $100 at and it go to 1 million? And Ethereum really doesn't have that meme coin culture. I mean, they have SHIB, but SHIB went off and did its own chain. They have Pepe, Win Pepe chain. I mean, there's very few actual meme coins going on. So Ethereum is kind of like Bitcoin in that sense that it's, boring, I guess. And so it doesn't get as much coverage and hype. But you're right. I think maybe this is a good transition to what you wanted me to pull up here. So I'm going to transition
let's
over
look
to
at the. Okay.
And also, quick question
Yeah,
regarding this:
the rollups.
Is X1 an L1 or an L2?
It's an L1. It's an L1 because it doesn't use another chain for as a settlement layer.
Got it.
So it's a full fork of Solana. So first fork of Solana being an L1. All right. So let's take a look here. What are we seeing? So first, the green line. The green line is Ethereum. See that green line? It says 14. Yep. So 14 is how many transactions per second Ethereum is currently experiencing. And then if you scroll up a little bit higher so that we can see the header, you see that TPS on the very top? That's the whole Ethereum ecosystem as depicted by this website. It's showing 240 transactions per second. And this 18 or 17 right there with an X, that's a multiplier. That's basically how many transactions are happening everywhere else in the Ethereum EVM universe and not directly on Ethereum. So almost 20x of all transactions happening off-chain from Ethereum. Now, obviously, this thing Xi, XAI, right there is showing 100. So that's skewing a lot of data, because what this thing is actually an L3. It's a gaming platform that plugs into an Arbitrum L2. So Arbitrum 1 right there, you can see it's 25 transactions per second. It settles on Ethereum, but Xi or XAI settles on Arbitrum. So it's an L3 that's settling on L2 that settles on L1. And so if we remove this 100 as a gaming thing, we still see almost 10x difference for all the users on Base, for example. So Base is very popular. Arbitrum is very popular. Base and Arbitrum together combined, it's about like 60 transactions per second. So that's where a lot of action is. Base, again, is a copy of, you see how it says stack? It says op stack. So it's an optimism stack.
Right.
So it's very easy for Ethereum L2s to spin up an op stack by downloading it, and all of a sudden they have, full blockchain that's, I would say, somewhat, if not fully, centralized. So what really always bothered me about Ethereum's narrative and messaging is that Ethereum on a question of why can't Ethereum scale, they would say, well, we're not going to compromise on decentralization because we want everybody running Raspberry Pis and their laptops running full nodes, so on and so forth. So we're not going to actually build the code that scales, but also pushes away all of those minor validators and minor nodes that are currently staking Ethereum, because that actually will cause centralization in a way of centralization of compute. However, they did build this thing called blobs in the category DA. So you can see right there, DA, it says blobs. So blobs is a way of how rollups get settled on Ethereum in a very inexpensive way. So blobs are the proofs that an L2 has done something, and now there's like a stamp in the form of a blob that goes to Ethereum. So basically what happens is Ethereum launches blobs. They're very inexpensive. There's even more push for L2s to start because the barrier to entry is just so low. And obviously investors are flooding you with money. So of course you would launch an L2. But generally all L2s are centralized. Pretty much everything we see, like Base is centralized, Arbitrum is centralized, Optimism is centralized. They can censor your transactions. They can stop the chain, roll transactions back, so on and so forth. So the hubris and the sort of hyperbole of saying, "Hey, we're not gonna let go of decentralization narrative," and yet by saying, "Hey, L2s are now the new shards," which is true, L2s are shards, but they're all centralized. And so what happens is all the users are now being pushed to decentralized chains, not due to Ethereum not supporting any sort of DeFi on the mainnet, but due to the higher economic opportunities everywhere else, like Base, Optimism, Blast, Arbitrum. People just want to trade, they want to make money, so they end up going to decentralized chains away from decentralized chain that is Ethereum. And so I think it's intellectually disingenuous to say that, hey, we're all for decentralization, and yet we actually want everybody to go to L2s that are decentralized.
Well, okay.
So
go ahead.
Yeah. The other thing, real quick, is that if you look at the DA column again, you can see that there's Celestia popping up more often. So Celestia right there under Ethereum. If you scroll down, you see more Celestia. So Celestia is a data aggregation distributed layer, DA layer, which is actually even cheaper than Ethereum. It's built on Cosmos. So now currently Celestia wants to compete with Ethereum as a settlement layer. So you can see that there's a lot of obviously a lot of ghost L1 or other L2 chains that are trying to get users, but they're settling on Celestia because Ethereum is a little bit more expensive. And so what's happening now, or what will happen, that the way that I see it, that Ethereum will have to compete as being a settlement layer with other blockchains like Celestia, which will drive the economic opportunity for Ethereum lower, lower, and lower. And the way, what I really mean is that anytime you're on a blockchain, the amount of fees that are paid by the transactions on that chain is your revenue, basically. You kind of like, even if you're burning those fees, it's considered revenue.
Yep.
So if Ethereum stays at one GUI and nobody's really burning or making any fees, because it has to compete with the rest of the world and with people like Celestia or foundations like Celestia, it will drive the fees lower, lower, and lower, and basically the revenues and the burn of Ethereum will slow down, and Ethereum becomes inflationary again. So that's not great for the Ethereum backholders, because everybody celebrated Ethereum being deflationary 2 years ago when Xen launched, obviously, because we burned a lot of Ethereum through gas. But now with Quake basically disappearing, you will end up having more and more inflation within Ethereum native coin, which will pressure the value of Ethereum. Like basically it's like this. So you stake Ethereum, and you cannot really stake Ethereum unless you have 32, which is a lot. It's like $100-something thousand. $120,000. If you don't want to stake 32 Ethereum, you go to Lido. But Lido is a centralized protocol. They can literally take all your money, and there's nothing you can do. So if you want to stake 1 ETH or 2 ETH or 5 ETH, you go to Lido. Lido can turn the lights on you. So that's not great. So the question is, okay, I'm a regular Ethereum holder. Let's say that I have 20 Ethereum. Where will I go? Should I stake with Lido, but then I'm making like measly 5 or 6%, which is not awesome? Or should I take this 20 ETH to some other chains and gamble a little bit with meme coins, or participate in the new DeFi that's being launched everywhere within the L2 ecosystem, or just go to Solana, where it is fully decentralized and nobody's turning off the DeFi on you or can censor you. So Ethereum is in a tough spot the way that I see it, and it is unfortunate because it's kind of like my first love, like, so to speak. And they're definitely the pioneers in the smart contract category. I just wish that the narrative and the trajectory was more up and to the right, but right now it looks like more like a logarithmic curve when it comes to adoption.
So I'm glad you showed me this tool. I didn't know this existed, but when I'm looking at this tool, I'm feeling bullish about Ethereum, not bearish. Now, you did present an interesting conundrum where, okay, well, let me say why I'm bullish, and then I'll talk about the conundrum. So even though Ethereum is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on this list, this is all Ethereum. All of this, every single bit of this is Ethereum. So, this 260 TPS is actually 260 TPS on Ethereum, because this 113 is settling on Arbitrum, then settling on Ethereum. So it's just packing the data into less data intensive information on the settlement layer, which is bullish for Ethereum, right? This is, in a sense, scaling Ethereum. Now, I do agree with you that it is not bullish to be scaling Ethereum into the hands of centralized entities, but to a degree, multiple centralized entities creates its own degree of decentralization in a way, because now all of these people have to be, all these entities have to be honest, so to speak. Otherwise, people are just going to run to the competition, right? So none of these people control the. Now, look, I'm still not pro centralization, but it's the silver lining, I guess, is that even though we're moving to centralized L2s, no one controls all of the L2s. But then the conundrum is, go ahead.
Yeah, and I would totally agree with that. I think people having a choice is a good idea. However, if your choice is among only centralized entities,
right,
then you're actually not helping yourself. You're just saying that I'm gonna go to a chain or an L2 that has least likely desire to screw me, which probably will be Base, because they're American publicly traded companies. So them screwing you is not as obviously apparent as somebody like, for example, Binance. Though Binance is its own chain, but we know that it's centralized.
Right, I hear that is valid, but see, here's the interesting thing. So the negative conundrum is, as we take the more of the transactions off Ethereum mainnet to then pack them back down into Ethereum mainnet, which lowers GWE seemingly, at least to some extent. That's good for transaction costs, but it's bad for Ethereum or ETH inflation. So that was a very interesting point you brought up there. And then, oh man, go ahead. I had a second conundrum point, but I lost my train of thought.
Yeah. So the elephant in the room is this. Once Base becomes a dominant L2 player, which I'm sure that they will, because they're printing money from Coinbase, just making money on you when you trade, just all those transaction fees. Once they become a dominant player and attract all the talent to build there, the community will likely ask powers that be to switch Base to become an L1 and launch their own native coin. And shareholders will approve for sure, because think about it. Base launching an airdrop of a native coin, becoming an L1. Who wouldn't want that airdrop? Everybody would want that airdrop. Now, what happens to Ethereum? Well, all of the users have migrated from Ethereum to Base. It's like would have been like, of course, I'm speculating, but it would be a beautifully executed vampire attack on Ethereum if that were come to be. Now, the likelihood of that is very high, just because Ethereum, given its trajectory, is unlikely to become any faster. So, should Base get a validator community that is large enough and maybe innovate technologically, they can actually potentially build a better Ethereum, and Ethereum will be left in the dust.
So, okay, I will speak to that as well, because that's another interesting point. I remember what I forgot a moment ago is that if all this data is being brought off settlement layer Ethereum, making Gwei lower, then just transact on Ethereum, right? To the people that don't want to do the centralized L2s, just transact on mainnet. Problem solved for that guy. But
yeah, except that there's no buyers because everybody left to Base or somewhere else.
But even going to Base is effective. I mean, I guess, right, if you're trying to swap from coin A or token A to token B and the DEX is on Base, I guess you have to be on Base. That's valid. But even if Base comes out and creates an L1, it's like people are competing in a space that nobody has solved all the problems, right? What's the trilemma?
Sure.
Scalability. You probably know it. What's the trilemma?
Scalability, speed, and decentralization.
Right. So
that's the trilemma. Now I have to say that this trilemma has been drawn on a napkin by Vitalik when he was considering all chains being single-threaded, which does not apply to Solana, Aptos, Sei, and Sui. Actually, they can actually run and scale and still be decentralized. So,
I
anyhow,
guess, go ahead.
I think to put the nail in the coffin, like, so to speak. If I'm a user and I'm speaking about myself, would I go to Base and transact on Base, knowing that there will be a juicy airdrop from a native coin on Base that I can get at the ground floor? Absolutely, I will be there. Absolutely, right? So, and obviously knowing about Pulse Chain and Pulse Chain's history, that was one of the most attractive things for Pulse Chain, is people would go there because they get the world's largest airdrop, according to Richard. And it is super attractive to be there rather than staying on Ethereum. And so the way that my mental model works for the EVM universe is that there will be more and more L2s cannibalizing Ethereum stack and taking most of what it held dear, which is, well, the activity and the users, but also so it's left to be decentralized without all the users, which is, I guess, okay. But anyway, so that's kind of what I'm seeing from my lens here. And I'm not ultimately bearish on Ethereum, but I'm just more bullish on other things. I'm bullish on Aptos, Sei, Sui, Solana, and various other chains that are actually continue to innovate, continue to scale, continue to decentralize, and they're not having this sort of a cannibalistic situation that Ethereum is currently experiencing.
I do hear that, but then even if, let's say, you have all these L2s and L3s and L10s built on Ethereum, if all those are getting traffic and they're still putting the data back on the settlement layer, well, even if people don't know they're using Ethereum, isn't that still bringing the users to Ethereum without them actually saying, hey, I'm an Ethereum user? I mean, and also
not really. I don't think so, because
why's that?
Well, first of all, it's very easy to switch to Celestia. You just change a line of code and now you're on Celestia. So you're keeping all the Ethereum users that you have accumulated during your time vampiring Ethereum mainnet, and now you're switching to Celestia because Celestia is giving you a grant.
I see exactly what you're saying. So because the
L2 how hard
switch.
would not? Yeah. I mean, like you do that sort of a switch, and there will be like Celestia 2, Celestia 3, and God knows what.
Right.
And it will be so easy to repoint your, fire hose of users that want to settle. And ultimately, like I don't think users even care about settling. Like, how often do you think of settling when you're trading on base? Like, I don't even think about it. Like, okay, so transaction happens, and I'm pretty happy that it happened. Do I care what happens underneath? Not really.
No.
So
no, not at all. And we're the crypto nerds. You think the people that are jumping in on Coinbase, no, they care even less. They don't even know it's a thing to care about. So
yeah.
I'm kind of inclined to agree with you there. Out of all the other chains that are happening, if anything in the smart contract world has a chance to take down Ethereum, I do think it's Base, simply because they already have such a reach. They are a publicly traded company. They've got a good brand. They're at least in America, the largest centralized exchange that's used. I mean, they've got awesome innovation happening over there. They are innovating in more realms than just at the chain level. So I think that Base probably does have the best chance there. I mean, Solana, Cardano, Cosmos, all great ecosystems, but it feels like that stickiness factor is missing. And I can't really quantify that other than Bitcoin being number one. Well, they had first mover advantage. Good for them. Ethereum being number two, they had first mover advantage as well. So that overtaking that market share in that consciousness space in humanity is a hard thing to do. And we could sit here and talk about, the tech, but part of it's also the marketing, the brand awareness, the ability to disseminate your message, right? So these platforms, they're not just going to compete on a tech level, they've got to compete on a social level too. And I have not seen in crypto, sure, everybody knows about Solana, everybody knows about Base. Outside of crypto, if they even know about crypto, it's Bitcoin, and maybe sometimes they know about Ethereum or Cardano or something sometimes. But beyond that, it's like, oh, hey, let me tell you about this Celestia or this Xi thing. No, you lost them. So there's also that element too.
You know what if we were in the alternative reality, what I have wished for Ethereum to happen? And I actually mentioned that to Vitalik one day in the past.
Okay.
What I would wanted to see is an Ethereum L2 that is being used by the Ethereum itself. So a modular application layer shard that basically launches an L2 within its own mainnet that scales transactions at the fraction of the cost. People would love that. And I would love to use that. And it technically would be the same mainnet because the atomic composability is preserved, and all of the staked Ethereum actually makes sure that the validators or the nodes that are malicious are appropriately punished by slashing. So you could basically say that let's have an L2 as a module that does all those great things, reduces the load on Gwei, increases the chain speed by 100x, and yet remains within the Ethereum universe, rather than basically saying that, hey, build anything you want as an L2, but be fully centralized within your own organization, and also lose the atomic composability. Now, what is the atomic composability? You know how long it takes for money to be transferred from Optimism back to Ethereum? It takes 7 days. And it's like a couple of days, I think, on Arbitrum. So that's because the atomic composability is not there. You have to go through bridges. So if an Ethereum mainnet, and if Vitalik actually launched his own L2 as part of Ethereum, that would not have been an issue, because atomic composability would have been like a snap. You wouldn't have to go to the bridge at all, because an L2 would have been part of the L1. So that actually would have been a shard that would have just worked. So
Wasn't
instead
that
we have
proto-dank
this.
sharding?
No. Proto-dank sharding, all that is basically saying that the chip section of the data where you deposit your rollups is like 8 times cheaper than the average transaction. So that's what the proto-dank sharding is. It's basically the settlement layer for data where you store your rollups. That's proto-dank sharding.
Okay, gotcha.
So it's never a new AVM that actually runs on a different thread than the mainnet. So the speed would have been obviously much better because you have your settlement layer mainnet on a single thread. It's fine. But then you have multiple L2 modules that you can run on other threads within a validator that actually will not block the mainnet at all. So the cost of transactions would have plummeted the way that we see it on Ethereum right now, just a couple of Gwei, and people wouldn't have been pushed to centralized L2s the way that they're now. So that's what I wish would have happened. Unfortunately, it did not happen.
So, okay, I see that you sent me a link here, and I mean, hey man, maybe that's something you could build if you see the path forward, a decentralized L2. Maybe that's a narrative in and of itself.
So I want to do raw, uncensored demo of the transactions per second on X1 that we also have a code name for. We call it Solana, it's like Solana with an X.
Got it.
So we're running at that many transactions per second, very, very low number. This is pretty much the chain is currently idle. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn on a load test where I'm going to generate a lot of transactions. Let's see if it works. So just give me a second. I'm logging into.
And is this, so in the Internet Money wallet, we have X1 DevNet preloaded. Is that still a thing, or is this that? Because I got to get updated there. Make sure we got the right stuff in the wallet.
It's now different because we have sunset the Phantom version.
Okay.
So anyway, the load test is starting.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, so at the bottom there, you see it says block, and the blocks are moving just all the way at the bottom. Yeah, right there. So yeah, just keep it highlighted for a sec. So what's happening here, those are the blocks that are being produced. Just scroll down and people will be able to see it.
Yep, sorry.
Or keep it like that, yeah. So the blocks are being produced every 400 milliseconds, and we're packing almost up to 7,000 transactions into a block. You can see like 7,000 showing up here and there. And the screen is showing on X1 through TPS is the total number of transactions coming through right now. So this is I would say about 15% of capacity of the chain, and it's currently running about 40 validators. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna kick it a little bit harder. So I'm starting another load test that will potentially increase the number of transactions. So let's take a look. So here we are. So we actually killed the cluster by going to 50,000. So that number grew really, really large, like all of a sudden, and the cluster just failed. So here we go. We just crossed 10,000.
Oh, nice. So is there a scanner or something that you can view this?
Well, currently there's no Explorer at all. There is some basic Explorer that does very, very minimal things, but it's not ready for prime time. But currently, basically, like if you go to the chain itself and you look at the block, you can actually see how many transactions are being packed into a block, and those blocks are showing up at the bottom right there. So it's running pretty fast, and it's not even like fully loaded. I think the full load on it will be 50,000 TPS, and then like bad things may start to happen. So we did kill a cluster by running it a little bit too hot, and we're working with the Solana devs to optimize this type of performance. And again, like ultimately, like, do we care about 15,000 DPS? Do we? I mean, like maybe we don't. But here's the thing. If your TPS is limited and you have high demand, that actually means that you're overpaying for gas because you want to be front-running other transactions and you can't because the chain can't process them fast enough. Therefore, the GUI and the gas and the fees just go through the roof. So anyway, that's the current state of the world when it comes to X1 ecosystem and the blockchain running basically true transactions of users sending money to each other. So there's a load test that basically creates pairs of users. There's like maybe 1,000 of them, and they're all rapidly moving coins from one account to the other.
So
I think that there we go, 16,000.
Oh, I guess no. So this is not an EVM. So, okay.
Yeah, it's fully Solana compatible thing. But
okay,
you can connect to it with a backpack wallet.
Okay.
It's going a little bit faster, 25,000. So the test has warmed up all the appropriate bits. Now they're hot and they're pushing the internet money, here and there.
All right. So we gotta go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Well, we got a comment here that says, I feel smarter and equally confused. Keep up the great work, Jack and KG. That is my constant state of crypto. But through that confusion, you are getting smarter because you're learning something every time you have one of these discussions. So kudos to you for being here and thanks for the kind words. And
yeah, for sure.
And now I'm gonna pull up
It's nice when people are nice.
It is nice when people are nice. A lot of what we do here is like an artist with a painting. And if you go into a gallery and you take a poo-poo on their painting, it might hurt them a little bit. This just happens to be our painting. So yeah, we can handle the backlash, obviously, but you're right. It does feel good to be validated.
Validated.
All right.
That's right.
So we got a question here from Chris Raleigh, who's been very vocal in the chat. Jack said back in May that X1 was ready to launch.
Yeah, plans changed. I think I explained it.
Cool.
So plans beyond our control has caused us to reevaluate the whole project, and I don't want to launch something is going to have no longevity moving forward. So my goal is to create a product and work with the ecosystems that support innovation. A closed source system is not a way to go. I do not want to launch an L2, which I could have launched in a couple of days, no big deal. Just git clone the code, set up a couple of servers, and boom, you're done. So yeah, I did say that I was ready to launch, and then things changed, and now we're not ready to launch. Though I would say that X1 is live. You can see it's the transactions are there. So you can go to Solana X1. You can install a wallet. You can interact with it. You can build. You can join our Validator group and our Validator technical community and learn a bunch of things that are otherwise would not be available to learn anywhere else. Think about it. First ever fork of Solana, an L1. No one dares to do it because they all think that the path to Valhalla is an L2 using an op stack. It is so easy to make money with L2. Just show up in Silicon Valley, they're going to give you a $50 million check. So we want to go to the road less traveled and expand the ecosystem that I believe has a very, very high chance of acquiring a lot of users as the years go by. And I think being as close to the metal as Solana, and just looking at this test, we were not able to achieve anything like this with any EVM we tried. We just saw 25,000 transactions per second. It's happening live. The best we could have done with Phantom was 9,000. Phantom themselves, their official numbers, just about 2,000, maybe 3,000 transactions per second. So super cool. Would you be interested in trying a wallet demo with your with your browser. I could send you some test coins and we can see how quickly they come.
Sure, let's do
It's
it.
up to you.
Yep, yeah, let's do it.
What you need to do is get off this page and download an extension called Backpack Wallet. And obviously, it's going to be a test, so don't worry about like saving your seed phrase or anything like that.
And let me just speak to Chris real quick while I load this up over here.
Yeah.
So basically, just so that I can reiterate my understanding of it, is that X1 was originally a fork of Phantom Opera chain, which is an EVM, but Phantom had or released that they were going to close source part of their code or some of their code going forward, and you being a fork of that chain wanting to take the downstream upgrades, you were not able to do that due to the closed source nature, which caused you and the X1 team to pivot.
Exactly. I mean, the licensing has changed that restricted the innovation outside of Phantom ecosystem, which
Got
basically saying no to any sort of other forks that are possible.
Okay. So I guess the logo is literally just a red backpack.
That's right. So red backpack, what you need to do is you can bring it up on the stream. We can should actually show how we do it so that people can also try it because it's there's a couple of steps you have to do. So
all I've done at
so
this
go ahead
point
and
is I just downloaded the wallet. For those watching, I've done nothing else.
right. So the wallet's downloaded. Now all you need to do is create a new wallet. Then click Solana. And by the way, it's also like Base and Ethereum compatible, so you can do it that like you can use those other chains with that wallet too.
Yeah, we have Internet Money wallet for that though, so it's all good.
Sure. Okay.
Okay. So
yeah. So yeah, continue next.
I've saved it.
Yep. Then whatever the password is, ABC123, doesn't matter. Okay, so now it says you're all good, and you can click Open Backpack, which will open your extension.
Does it expand or does it just stay in the little window?
Wait a second. It says unavailable in U.S. state Texas. This is new.
Would you look at that?
What happened to Texas?
See, that's why Internet Money Wallet's goated, man. No, you can use it anywhere in the world. No restrictions.
Incredible. This
so
is like totally not expected.
I can't do the demo. Sorry. I don't have a V. I guess I could go turn a VPN on. You know.
Are you on a Mac?
I am not.
Are you on Windows?
I am.
Okay, I don't know how to use Windows, so I can't help you. But anyway, that's a bummer that Texas for some reason restricted restricted wallet.
Dude. It's yeah. I mean, it could be the nodes or the RPCs. I don't know. Does Solana chains have RPCs? I take it. It's got
No, I think it's like specific to a wallet somehow because it was the wallet's messaging that said that. So it's but maybe it's like something that they have in their open source that doesn't jive with Texas. I mean, who knows? It works okay in Hawaii and California. So, but anyway, okay, fine. So we can do the wallet demo. That's all right. I mean, we did look at the. Let's do this other thing real quick while we're on topic of Solana. So bring up this website called Solana.fm. Solana.fm, like FM radio.
All right. Here we go.
Okay, so This is one of my favorite Solana's explorers, and it's my favorite because they show true TPS. So currently 800 transactions per second. You can see it right there. And you can see on the right-hand side, there are blocks, numbers that are moving quite rapidly. So basically, the TPS is much higher currently than what we have on Ethereum. Ethereum, the whole ecosystem is like 250 transactions per second. Here in Solana, it's about 800, and obviously we just demoed 25,000. And because we are using the same fork and we haven't actually even changed much of anything there, that actually tells me that Solana can probably go to 5,000, 10,000 TPS and still be scalable. So that's kind of like my technological take on their platform. Definitely works well, goes down a lot, but I think it's more of a growing pain than anything. And also, when you're redlining your hardware, you're exposing corner cases that cause crashes and
Right.
unusual bugs a lot more than something that runs at the idle speed. And also, like me personally, I like people that take the highest risk possible in innovate, even if they crash. I think Facebook pioneered this phrase, move fast and break things. Solana definitely embraces this uh, paradigm. They're definitely moving fast and they're definitely breaking things, and a lot of times they just break themselves. So, but I think it's gonna get better in the future as technology matures, because clearly Solana is still a newcomer in the space. But yet, if we look at all the like news outlets, we actually see that there's so much DeFi happening in Solana. It's just crazy.
And
So,
I've actually
and go ahead.
no, I actually a few weeks ago, or maybe last week, I streamed with another gentleman named Believes Crypto, and he kind of opened my eyes to a lot of incredible DeFi things that are actually happening on Solana, and it's not just meme coin trading. So I'm definitely starting to see that Solana is within crypto a hub for innovation. So I second that.
Yeah, so I think we can probably conclude the topic of Solana, but I wanted to show this one last thing, Solzen on Solana, because the community actually wanted to see if Zen can run on a non-EVM chain, and we launched a protocol we call Solzen on Solana, and the way that you can see it, go to the browser and type in solzen.io.
Like this browser or right here?
Your
Right
real
here.
browser, not
Gotcha.
the Explorer. Yeah, where it says Solana FM, just type solzen.io. And then click on the leaderboard. All right. So this leaderboard is live and current. You can actually see Solzen being minted right now under total Solzen. What's happening here is Solzen is a proof of work algorithm that's running on the Solana validators and nodes. And the way that we have designed it, we're actually running true Bitcoin-like hash discovery and search. And whenever you find a hash, you actually get rewarded with Solzen.
Wow.
The other thing that's important to note, that all the hashes that you produce, that's in the middle of the screen, 86,000 hashes. Those hashes are actually part of the ledger we will be using for X1 airdrops. So if you're actually hashing Solzen or mining Solzen, that total hashes that will be linked to your Ethereum address. And by the way, see that Ethereum tab on the top right? If you click on the Ethereum thing, and you can actually see the leaderboard down below, people have registered their Ethereum addresses so that they can get their addresses registered for airdrops. And you can see that there's hashes and then there's super hashes. And the hashes are much easier to find, and super hashes are much harder to find. The hashes are linked to a target 420, and the super hash is 420.69, obviously. So within seconds.
Clearly.
So if you find within, yeah, I mean, if you do 420, you have to do 420.69. So point is, like, these super hashes actually get a multiplier for your X1 airdrop, and they're harder to find. And a lot of people are trying to accumulate as many super hashes as they can because they will be linked to the airdrops for the X1 onboarding, basically. The last thing I wanted to show you is the block compute, which is like, if you scroll up, click on this block compute right there. All right, so this is one of my favorite charts. The green stuff is Solen, and the purple stuff is all Solana other transactions, and the unused is the unused portion of the block. So every column is an average indicator for how much block space we're currently taking.
Jeez.
So we're taking 20% of Solana's block space just for this project alone. And if you click on daily, you can have a slightly different picture. So top right, switch from hour to day, it will re-render.
Oh, I see.
It actually shows very, very similar picture. So on the top day or top hour, if you go a little bit more to the left, where the green bar is the highest, just at the bottom there, like this one. So 28% for that particular hour was just entirely Solen. So we're dominating as a protocol on Solana currently by taking over the block compute space, so to speak. And this diagram actually tells you like what's happening.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy to see
right there. Yeah, Xen is definitely took over the block space there, and but believe it or not, a lot of people from the EVM world would consider this spam. What happened to Solana is that Solana have had a lot of spam before Solen. When Solzenians came to Solana, they actually took over the portion of a block that was that the spammers were taking. So all the spammers got pushed off. So Solen became like a spam repulsor because our transactions are so beefy. They take most of the compute and making the compute unavailable for the spam. So spam always attacks Solana, but currently it's not economically possible to do it because we have reduced the portion of a block that was otherwise would be like free for all for the spam bots. The other interesting thing, I believe, which I don't have like a concrete evidence on paper, but someone mentioned that a lot of Solana validators that were weak were actually got pushed off from Solen being so compute intensive. So it overheated and overloaded everybody's CPUs, and those guys disconnected. Now, the cool thing about this is that these sucked to begin with, so they actually were slowing Solana down. So now Solana is left with only nodes that can actually process our transactions, which are very, very strong nodes. So it makes the chain more resilient and stronger. It makes the performance of transfers and otherwise other transactions actually run faster.
You trim the fat, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah. So two things, 2 for 2, spam is gone, and then the really, really poor performing validators are gone also.
And I want to provide a little context here for those that might be looking at this chart thinking, what the heck? So basically, if you look at this as one bar, that this is 100%. The green is how much of the 100% is being taken up by Solen. So, and when I first looked at this, I was like, what the heck am I looking at? But look at each bar as its own little entity. I kind of like the weekly view for that. So you can see that by the week, Solen is taking up 36% in this particular week. This was June 26th of all the transactions space or block space on Solana. Everything else is taking 49%, and there's 15% free block space. So I just wanted to provide a little context there because there's a lot going on. Now, someone did have a pretty good question that I wanted to. Are you done on here? Because I did have a question I wanted to ask.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do the questions, I guess, because we've been talking for longer than an hour.
Okay. So, before I ask that, so he says, and if you don't have a VPN while doing crypto things, completely agree with you there. I'm not in my permanent setup right here, my permanent location. So, yeah, I just didn't have my VPN set up, was all. All right, now let's go back to the question. Instead of asking when, I will ask this. Do you have any marketing, building up the hype idea plan? If yes, would you be able to explain a bit? If not, why not? I believe he's referring to X1 here.
So that's a very good question, and actually all on point. I think people who ask when, we call them lovingly the Wenians. So there's the Zenians, and when they ask when, the Wenians.
Yep.
So, now I understand why people are asking when. Okay, there is what I see here is an example of a non-toxic when question. A when question that I consider toxic is basically a person who is looking to liquidate their airdrops, basically dump on the market and move on, right? So that is the 90% or 80% of people who ask when, they just want to have some sort of a liquidity event, and they want somebody to make it for them. Those people are really not going to stay within the community for long anyway. So they're just gonna come, raid the airdrop, dump it, and leave. And so I don't have much love for those people, but I understand that this is actually very, very common. So in terms of marketing and things like that, obviously those things that we're continuously working on. So part of the building a product is a lot of social engagement, like literally the social score of your project that you're launching absolutely have to be A+. So that is why, like, for example, when I say that Solana as a fork, it probably is the best technology, it's not only about the technology, it's also about the social consensus of the Solana Foundation, how they view our presence on their chain, as well as us innovating and trying to bring, for example, proof of work to the Solana fork that we're building. And when I say proof of work, we have this giant project called Xen Blocks. There's thousands of GPUs currently mining, and we're planning to integrate that project within the SVM compatible ecosystem, which requires a fork. So those guys, being Solana Foundation, willing to co-innovate with us, communication channels are open. It's kind of like this. So like Tolly retweeted, Tolly is the founder of Solana. He retweeted a lot of my posts about Solana, right? Not any other founder have ever done that. And Solana is a number 5 blockchain, currently at 65 to maybe 70 billion market cap, which is obviously not small. So this type of engagement on crypto Twitter with the core foundation team members actually is part of really, really good exposure for our project, which leads to marketing. And building up the hype obviously is a good idea unless this hype is based on some sort of bullshit. So now what we have going for us is that we have 500,000 wallets that belong to Zenians. Having an onboarding opportunity for Xen is incredibly powerful marketing machine. So going back to Pulse Chain and the world's largest airdrop, so what Richard wanted to do, he basically wanted to copy the state of Ethereum and have all the people that have held some sort of coins come to Pulse Chain and then trade them. That was the idea. It was harder to do than, for example, what to do with Xen, because Xen is aligned with the principles of X1. We understand the Xen ecosystem. We're part of it. We're builders. Where, like, for example, if you just copy the state of the blockchain, well, how do you actually deliver the message to all of the communities out there? Like, will the Shiba people come to Pulse Chain, for example, and trade it? What would be the percentage of those people compared to, for example, all the Zenians that will come to X1 to convert and upgrade their Xen tokens to Xen native coins. So I would say similar idea. We have built the community first. There's a lot of Xenians out there that are aware of what we're doing. Streams like that obviously also help. And that's how we can consolidate the Xen ecosystem from 12 different EVM chains plus Bitcoin into X1. I don't think anybody have done anything like this. Generally, when the chain is designed, somebody's like for example, Aptos. So Aptos is awesome in a way that it's former Facebook guys, so they actually don't need marketing because people are throwing money at them because they're part of Facebook former team. Perhaps Sui and Sei have a little bit tougher time getting users on their chain themselves. But I guess what I was going to say is that when it comes to marketing, you do have to deliver a chain that actually does not suck, for sure. It has to have interesting things, but it also needs to have a community. So when you start a new chain and you just build something, and it's like, hey, I'm awesome, I have built this amazing thing, and you think, not in so many words, if you build it, they will come. A lot of times they don't come because they're busy trading meme coins and shit tokens somewhere else or participating in DeFi where they have the majority of their bags. Like, why would they go into some unknown chain that doesn't actually have any users? So it's kind of like a chicken and an egg thing. So you build the chain, and now you have to pay to builders to come to the chain to build with hope that those builders bring the community with them, which is possible, but it can take years. So what we have done something in reverse. We have released Xen first, which got exposure on all the chains. Some chains actually had to re-index themselves or shut down, or they were screaming and yelling that Xen is killing them. By the way, base L2, 70% of all the block space belongs to Xen. They're very much aware of Xen is and what Xenians have done to the chain. 70%, right? If that data is available, if you just Google for it, you'll get a report basically saying that 70% of all the block space belongs to Xen. So anyway, that's like a giant marketing postcard that we're leaving on every chain, basically saying, we are a force, we're strong, we stand for first principles, we're building a blockchain, and you as a participant in this ecosystem will be able to actually get exposure and airdrops on that chain, and you're not going to be alone. You're going to be among the Xenian community. So I think that's extremely powerful to deliver things, or actually to start things like that, where you think, build the community first, give people something they can use right now, so you can build on top of it as a building block. So Xen is a building block. The L1 fastest blockchain in the world is the top of the pyramid, and everybody has fair access. So I think that's what's really great about this project.
Okay. And Jack, do you still have a few more minutes to answer some questions?
Yeah, I have a ton of time, so let's go ahead and get into it.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do. I have to take a quick intermission, so I'm gonna play just a 2-minute song while I take that intermission, and we'll be right back to answer some more questions.
Perfect.
All right.
What is cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrency is more than just money. Cryptocurrency is a lifestyle, a philosophy, an ecosystem, the means by which human beings to attain financial freedom, not just in the sense of multiplying their investment, but giving humans the ability to interact with money in any way that they see fit. And if that way doesn't already exist, that's the beauty of crypto, is you can create it. And that's what we've done here. Internet money is the future. Internet money is the future. What is internet money, you ask? Well, it's just that. future. Internet money, internet money is the future. Internet money, internet money is the future.
Black screen's gone, and we're back. Thank you for
And we're back.
that. So, okay. Let's see what we got here. Oh man, this, and right now StreamYard is showing me that we have 758 viewers in here. We're streaming on YouTube, my personal X Twitter, and the Internet Money X Twitter. So shout out wherever you're watching. Please drop a like, please subscribe, please retweet, all that good stuff. Any questions you have for Jack? So okay. So what I would like to know, okay, so we've talked about X1, and I see some questions coming in about the other parts of the Xen ecosystem. Someone here says, can you talk about X hex? I don't even know what that is.
It's pronounced Shex.
Okay, can you tell me about Shex?
So remember Richard said that eHex is not real?
Yes, I remember that whole thing.
And it dumped. So I came to the Hexagon community and I said that I will copy everybody's Ethereum addresses from eHex and give them checks on X1 as an airdrop, due to the to commemorate that event of eHex dumping Hart. So it was kind of like a joke, but the idea is that we're gonna give free airdrops of X hex to hexagons for nothing, just for being in the Hex ecosystem.
And what do you have to do to qualify for that airdrop? Stake, hold?
Doesn't matter. Like if you ever interacted with Hex anywhere, your address will be on the ledger. We'll give you an airdrop.
And is it action oriented, or just, hey, if you've interacted, you get X amount of checks and you're in?
You'll have to come and click a button.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's all you need to do.
All right.
Yeah, that's Shex. It has a pretty cool avatar picture for the token. It's like this cat with a little diamond necklace, and it says X hex on it.
Okay. All right. I actually got another one from Twitter earlier because we're on Hex real quick. So I'm going to show the question on the screen. It's going to cover our faces for a moment.
Sure.
But someone says, my KG question. Do you still believe this is a question for you? Do you still believe Richard Hart is done for and will never do anything in crypto ever? And then he screenshots you saying, but for the record, I don't root for Richard's demise. He is done for. He will never do anything in crypto ever.
I think there were times Richard himself thought that he was done for. Maybe the first day when he got the SEC notice.
Probably awful.
Or maybe it was exactly what he wanted. We'll never know. So, I mean, certainly if you want to be infamous, it's kind of cool to be sued by the US government. I think it's I mean, especially if you settle or win or get the lawsuit dismissed at the end, you're a hero. So it could go either way. I think that thing needs to get resolved. Certainly, it's very hard to for a builder to come to an ecosystem where a founder is under the gun. And I think as long as the situation remains, that sort of pressure will remain. What he's done for is really depends on the outcome of the case, I would say.
I'm heavily inclined to agree with you there, because it seems like either under legal advice or some sort of gag order from somewhere, he's tweeting, but he's not being as public as he was, obviously. So I think that has definitely removed some of the wind beneath the sails of the Pulse Chain and Hex ecosystem, which why I've been tweeting at the SEC every opportunity I get, kind of being over dramatic about it. But they are the biggest rug pullers in the crypto space. They are the biggest scammers in the crypto space. They have stolen more money from anybody in the crypto space than any of the investors are trying to protect. The SEC is such a meme. It's like, it's very clear that they are nefarious actors, because if they actually, my favorite example to use, I've been using this one for a while. Are you familiar with the Stoner Cats project?
Mm-mm.
Oh, dude, I thought that'd be right up your alley. So it was an NFT project that you held the NFT and then you got access to this cartoon, right? So only the people that had the NFT could get the cartoon, and there was like 10,000 in the collection or something. It was run by Mila Kunis, Ashton Kutcher, Chris Rock. Vitalik was one of the voice actors, and there was this other older woman actor. I don't remember her name. So it was those 5 people. They were all voice actor characters in the show. Well, the SEC deems them an unregistered security, asks them to pay a $20 million fine. They can no longer transact the NFTs, and they can't make the crypto or the Stoner Cats content anymore. How did the investors win in any of that? They got wrecked. That's what the SEC does. Not,
Yeah. I would say definitely biggest scammers in the crypto is SEC. There should be like an SEC security meme coin. Like literally should say that SEC security coin. SEC security coin. SSC. Somebody should do SSC, launched as a meme, and like poop and get a Gensler in France. I would say though, so like imagine this project, kind of like grassroots, this and that. Why would SEC target them? Like, what's so special about them?
Who? Stoner Cats?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it is very likely that what happened, that there were some disgruntled traders that either bought the top or sold the bottom or didn't get the airdrop they wanted, who literally went to the SEC website and filed a complaint and rallied their whatever small community of fathers, haters, or just people out of luck, and pointed SEC into their direction, and that's why they got sued. And that's why the project got killed. There are people in the world that see the world such as that if I can't have it, no one else can. And it is unfortunate, but it is what it is. And it's very easy to kill a project that have at some point have done any sort of airdrop, collected some sort of money, and SEC, all they need to do is choose the appropriate target. And if they see that they have the money in the treasury, then they'll take it all. So, but I don't think SEC is looking for those things themselves. They're not like having a little compass that points them in the direction of a case, right? It's more likely that the disgruntled community members themselves are pointing SEC onto the project, which sucks. I mean, it sucks. We should be in this together, and but unfortunately, there's a lot of bad actors act in bad faith, and I wish there were less of those people.
Me too. And I can certainly understand people feeling like they were, lied to by certain entities, insert entity here, or feeling like their expectations weren't met by those entities. But at the end of the day, if you're never investing what you can't afford to lose, or if you're never investing Yeah, well, you can't afford to lose. Then you're always okay. Like every dollar I have in the crypto space right now, no, I don't want to lose it. It'd be very uncomfortable if I lost some of it, but my family's still fed. My mortgage is still paid. My car payment is still paid. You know, whatever your bills are that you're paying, as long as those things are still paid, then know the risks going in. It's almost like either A, people get sold on this idea and just FOMO dump money in, which is not a good tactic, or they're trying to, you know, get famous or get money from bringing people down. Yeah, ultimately, when the SEC wins against crypto, they win against crypto. Nobody wins when the SEC wins.
Right. Totally agree.
All right, so here's another question. What about VMPX? This is your ordinals, right? On Bitcoin?
Yeah,
Or is
it's on
BEP20?
Bitcoin and Ethereum.
Okay.
It's BRC20 on Bitcoin, and it's on
Yeah,
Ethereum, ERC20 as well. So we have quite a bit of tokens that we have launched as experiments. Like VMPX originally on Bitcoin was launched as a meme. Like if you go to vmpx.io, there's like my vamp face on it, and there's nothing else on the web page. So that's how it launched during the early initial innings of ordinals and BRC20s. We just decided to explore that ecosystem and launch a meme coin. All the assets that are linked to Fair Crypto Foundation will get opportunity to convert to X1 once it is online and the mainnet is live, and there is sufficient obviously safety elements have been created with the code, and marketing is done properly, legal system is set up so that the SEC doesn't go after us, so on and so forth. So most of the, and I would say probably all of the tokens that we have ever launched will get the conversion opportunities.
That's really cool. Yeah, I'm looking at the website over here. Yeah, taking care of the existing community. I think that is very, very important. So cool to hear you're doing that. Here is Jack thinking of doing the world's largest Solana airdrop?
I don't think so. I don't think we need to copy their state. I think we have enough users within the Xen ecosystem. So it's going to be the largest community airdrop for sure. Doesn't need to be world's largest airdrop. Yeah, so I think for Xenians, if you're holding any sort of Xen assets, we plan to give people ability to convert those assets based on certain ratios between the chains and between the assets themselves. We haven't defined those ratios yet, but we're working on the definitions. But more importantly, we want the chain to be safe to transact on, and that's the number one objective.
Absolutely valid. I mean, if the chain isn't safe, then none of the other shiny stuff matters anyways. Okay. Someone says, I still don't see Arbitrum, Optimism, Base, or whatever L2 settling on Ethereum. Where's the proof they're doing that?
Well, the proof is if you go to their Explorer, you can actually see there's like transactions are indicating L2 with a little arrow towards L1, and it happens like every 5 minutes. You actually see that. It's on their Explorer. So just go to the Explorer and you'll see this element happening.
Okay,
I have looked at those transactions. They're real. So definitely do happen.
And by Explorer, you mean go to the Polygon Explorer or the Base Explorer?
Or Optimism Explorer. Like
Sure.
just bring it up and you will see on the first page, it will actually show that. I'm gonna look at Optimism Explorer myself just to see. if this is happening. Yeah, it literally says latest L1 to L2 transactions and vice versa.
Yeah,
So
yeah, right here.
It's showing up. Yeah.
With hashes. Cool.
Yeah,
all right.
And then you can, if you click on that hash, you will actually end up on Ethereum, I believe. And
yeah, because
you can see how the data.
Yeah, you got the L1 hash and the L2 hash.
Is that Etherscan? Yep, there we go. So that's Ethereum. So that's the settlement. And then if you scroll down, you'll see that there's a beefy call data in it. So like click on more details. Then scroll down. So you see, and then click on decode. There's a decode button. So that's like the transaction that's coming through.
There you go.
Yeah.
38 Aave. All right. Quick four grand on this Tuesday morning. All right.
Wait a second. We have the most important question of the day by Fast Abdul. Can you bring it up?
Yes, sir. Jack, your skin is glowing. What's your secret?
I'm a vampire. Everybody knows my secret.
Count Dracula will suck your blood.
You know, I'm 50 in a couple of weeks.
Oh man,
turning 50. I'm 1974.
You look like a solid 39, bro.
Thank you. Well, I have to live long enough to see blockchain launch.
Hey, so average human live until about 80 or 90, so we can expect X1 within the next 40 years.
Exactly.
Okay, got it.
I want to live at least another 50 years to spend half of my lifetime being a celebrity that everybody putting on a pedestal and throwing flowers at. 100%. This is what I'm aiming for.
Good.
But back to the skin, we should have like a stream where we'll just talk about skin, because I have a lot to say.
Yeah, no, I mean, we had a really great stream a while back. It was when you launched your Xen FTs, and one of the topics was
bigger than huge.
Yeah, exactly. And psychedelics, Xen FTs, bigger than huge. So no, that was a really great stream. So yeah, man, anytime you want to talk philosophy or non-crypto stuff, I'm also happy to do that.
Yeah, for sure. But anyway, the two secrets to better skin is daily morning 2 spoons of peanut butter with oatmeal and blueberries. So what happens is you're basically consuming the most important meal of the day, also they say. And now, why is it the most important meal of the day? Well, it's because when you wake up, your body actually absorbs nutrients and shuttles them to the proper locations within your body, rather than like dinners, for example. So a lot of people overeat dinners. In reality, you have to give yourself the best nutrients in the morning. So you start with oatmeal that gives you enough fiber, and also has a lot of enough complex carbs to fuel your day in terms of energy. The peanut butter just tastes great, but it has a lot of good fats that basically a slightly slower digesting element that also gives you energy. And blueberries, there's like this color that blueberries have is actually created by a particular chemical. I think it's called like cyanin or something like that. It has very, very good effect on the skin. And so taking enough fats, taking enough carbs, and taking enough micronutrients from blueberries daily will literally make your skin complexion incredible. The other thing that I would recommend is at least 5 grams of creatine daily, because what that does, that takes most of the water that's like sitting around in your stomach and puts it into your muscle tissues, as well as it will provide hydration and the shuttling of nutrients to your nervous system. So, for example, your neurons will get better functionality just by having creatine in your system. So that's the morning routine. So 5 grams creatine, blueberries, a couple of cups of cut steel oats Doesn't need to be overnight, just cooked a little bit with 2 spoons of peanut butter and blueberries. And you get to be a vamp like me.
All right, man. Hey, there you go. Skin advice from Jack Levin himself. Thank you, sir. Someone says, I was wrong. Jack is a doctor, not a developer. Dr. Jack Levin.
I'm a Dr. Jack. Yeah. Crypto doctor. I need to change my name from Cypherius Prime to Dr. Cypherius Prime.
Yes. And you'll be referred to only as such. Okay.
Only as such.
All right. Let's see what else we got here. I don't know what this is, but what is the reason we can't already buy, sell XNM tokens?
Well, the reason is the ledger that's collecting Xenium tokens is from the mining of Xen blocks, basically. And that ledger is not on X1. We're working to incorporate that ledger into X1 so that you can actually trade them. So part of the onboarding plan for X1 ecosystem is also the proof of work mining, which is one of the most straightforward, easiest ways to get into crypto. If you ever mine Bitcoin, this is a lot simpler to do right now. You can go to vast.ai that runs GPUs for you. You can mine with GPUs at home. You will generate hashes. They will be linked to your Ethereum address, which will be compatible with the X1 blockchain when it goes mainnet, and that's where you get your Xenium tokens.
Okay. Let's see.
We're also releasing a new miner that's going to be CPU only. So imagine this: you go to a web page, you load that web page, you click run, and now you have a light node that's running within your browser that actually does the hash verification for all of the GPU hashes that's ever been produced. So smartphones, browsers, laptops can all become light nodes to support Zenblocks ecosystem, which is extremely powerful because the community verification of the hashes in a decentralized way is the ultimate goal in any crypto project, and especially the proof of work. I mean, you want your proof of work to be cross-verified by the consensus that runs in a decentralized manner in the easiest way possible, specifically like within the browser. So using CPUs to verify the GPU hashes is like the ratio of computers like 1,000,000 to 1. So like, in other words, it takes 1,000,000 compute cycles to find a hash, but it only takes 1 cycle to verify that it's legit. So the hash verification will happen on light nodes that will also get the yield from the native coin of X1 we call Xen. So you're running your light node verification node, you get your yield, and you're participating in this global decentralized strengthening of the system.
Okay. And I think a good follow-up question to that one there, same user, Zenblocks mining, if someone wants the most amount of XN allocation, which token should they get? Should they mint Xen, burn Xen, buy VMPX, mine XNM, mine Solen?
So I can't really answer that question because it falls into the category of a financial advice. Because like, if I were to say that do this and not that, it changes the whole, natural ecosystem, so to speak. It also gives some sort of a promise that I cannot give at all, because things are always in flux unless it's in code and on the light paper or white paper. We shouldn't really talk about the elements that could skew your natural behavior. So I would say that the only thing that I can say on the subject, that no matter what you do, you will not be left behind, or that's not our goal. And when I say that you're not going to be left behind, I'm not even promising that you're going to make any money, right? I mean, like, everybody knows that at some point there will be like some sort of a liquidity event and they get some sort of a juicy airdrop that they can liquidate. this is not even an elephant in the room. Everybody knows that. But me, myself, and I as a founder cannot promise a financial outcome of any kind. I can only say that if you do this, something will happen which will not necessarily bring any value to you. Because should I say that do this and this thing will happen for sure and it's going to be super valuable, now that becomes a financial advice and it pretty much turns everything that we do into a security, because you're promising something in the future that doesn't yet exist. So we have to be very, very careful, and it would be a disservice to mention something that we don't even know that would do anything. Like, how do we know that X1 will have any value? Well, we don't know. We don't know. We hope it would have value, but we cannot guarantee any value. But anyhow, I think it's kind of obvious in terms of like where you are in the ecosystem as far as what will happen. And there is a lot of community members that discuss those sort of things. And I would say like definitely talk among the community members and see what the consensus is of what things might be. And also, like I would say in conclusion, that we definitely listen to the community and we enact changes to our future plans based on the solicitation of what community ultimately wants, because we exist specifically to grow the community, to bring value, and not necessarily ultimately make everybody happy, but certainly we want to be aligned with everybody's interests.
Very fair answer. And I mean, I can certainly understand that if you say, hey, this action will result in the most reward, and then if more people go to start participate in that action, that affects the ecosystem positively or negatively, only time would tell, but regardless, affects the ecosystem. So I can certainly understand that. And Joe Blau says, peanut butter jelly time. Shout out Joe Blau. I am a maxi. He's a very innovative, thoughtful guy, and I appreciate his work very much. So keep it up, Joe. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Joe.
Simple Water says, what about Zuniswap?
Zuniswap is a name of a proposed name of a DEX on X1. Don't have much news there because we're still building X1. So, but there's a lot of options in open source projects on Solana. There's Radium and Jupiter Swap, various other swaps. I mean, ideally, we would want to engage with the original designers and creators and founders within the Solana ecosystem to bring their projects to X1. And we hope a lot of them will be DEXs, because without a DEX, what's the point of having a chain? So definitely would be a good idea to, and then maybe we'll get something up ourselves and going to call it Zuniswap.
Do you have no expectations, nothing concrete, just picking the brain? Do you think that you'd lean more towards a Uni V2 style DEX, a Uni V3 style DEX? Any thoughts there?
I think V3 is definitely a good idea, but that's probably going to be plugged into the EVM once we have the EVM compatibility turned on. So out of the get-go, we're likely just going to be using Solana style Radium-like DEXs, or DEX type, if you will.
And how does, I actually don't know this, how does Radium compare to a Uni V2 or Uni V3? Is it V2-esque? Is it V3-esque? You know, how does it compare?
It's V3-esque, but it has an option to be V2 or V3 in one single app. Like, for example, you can have the you know how you can specify ranges between the liquidity, like you can say that single side liquidity or somewhere in the middle, or a little bit more concentrated, more open, that sort of thing. So Radium has all of those options available. You can just select optionally what you want to do and provide liquidity that way.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, let's see here. Taylor says, Jack, will the origin address be excluded from checks? Do you really think you'll be able to get away with this?
I have a list of 12,000 addresses that linked to the origin address. So they will be excluded because this is going to be a community airdrop, not the OA airdrop.
Okay.
A lot of hexagons actually reached out and they say that, hey, we have this spreadsheet of all the addresses. You want to make sure those don't get the airdrops because it will skew the distribution. But also, I would say that because it's not really an airdrop in its true sense of the word, it's come and click a button type of thing. So I don't think the OA address owner is going to be like, oh, hey, new airdrop. I'm going to click a million buttons right now and get it. So, but we will basically isolate the community addresses.
Okay. Okay. Someone said, Flamqua says, Jack, can you share some ideas for potential alt VMPX utility before a bridge goes live? Regards.
The same utility as all the other tokens, which is basically a potential upgrade and conversion from the token into X1 native asset.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, okay. Viking 2 says, is Xen on ETH still the most important Xen?
I think it's harder to get Xen on ETH than anywhere else, just because of the way that ETH is priced. So certainly when it comes to the difficulty of acquiring and holding Xen on any chain, the level of difficulty will skew the X1 asset acquisition based on the difficulty positioning itself. And obviously we want it to be fair. Like, we don't want somebody to go to Binance and scoop up trillions of Xen tokens and say, hey, I get the same type of distribution as Ethereum, which would not be fair.
Okay. All right, let's see here. I think this is another Winnian question, but at what stage are you at with the Git book? I suppose he or she is talking about X1, which I think you may have spoken to, but feel free.
It's like 80% done. So that Git book. And the Git book will have a lot of coverage when it comes to technology, economic elements of the chain operations, and so on and so forth. And it also will have a lot of Xen blocks elements too. So that portion will be integrated, because Xen blocks mining as well as the verification is going to be a very, very large part of the onboarding mechanism. Because think about it this way. So generally you have to, when you come to the new chain, you have to buy their assets. Well, here you can come without any crypto assets, load up a web page and start mining. Mine your crypto assets right on the chain, which is very attractive for not just the OGs, but also the newcomers into the crypto ecosystems.
Okay. Okay, looks like maybe you got a developer in the community. What Web3 project can I fork for X1 DEX?
I would say start with Radium because it's one of the most popular ones. So start with Radium and then jump into our app development group or just into the Validator group and deploy it on X1 /Solana and see how it works.
Very good. And shout out to community developers for any ecosystem. Community developers are how projects, it's another element of projects becoming more decentralized. So shout out to all you. You are an unseen hero most of the time, but I see you. Dank says,
We all see you.
Dank says, you host great interviews. Thank you. Do my best.
Is it a dank or proto dank?
As long as it's dank, that's all that matters. Jack, can you please explain the selling point of X1 as a Solana fork versus the likes of AVAX, Phantom / Phantom? Thank you.
Besides me having like the best skin in the crypto ecosystem, I mean,
come to X1. It's about the skin.
All right. So Solana's claim to fame, or actually their whole direction and reason for being, is how they would explain it and deliver it is NASDAQ is at the speed of light. So let's dive in. What is NASDAQ? NASDAQ is a trading platform. Speed of light, or at the speed of light, meaning as fast as the validator nodes and the technology can permit. I think it's a great way to describe a blockchain. Now, there's a lot of blockchains out there. They're pretty fast, and yet nobody uses them. It is that question that we need to answer to understand how we can actually bring the community to the X1 blockchain or any new blockchain that people are developing. Ultimately, it comes down to crypto culture and understanding what the first principles are. So crypto culture, like what is it? So let me give you like an example of what crypto culture isn't. Because going, proving a theory from the opposite is often like a solid take. So back in the day when ordinals were literally popping and then inscriptions were popping pretty much on every blockchain, Avalanche blockchain, and I see that it is mentioned in the question, became very, very popular for inscriptions. So literally like the gas on Avalanche skyrocketed. It was still super cheap. It went from like 0.05 cents to like 5 cents. So it went like 100x, but nobody complained about paying 5 cents or maybe even 50 cents. It was still okay. The number of transactions went 10x. And it seems like an Avalanche had its moment in user adoption. That is when the culture came to the chain. No doubt in my mind. It got started on the Bitcoin blockchain by guys like Casey and guys like Domo that gave birth to ordinals, inscriptions, and BRC20s. And it propagated around the world and started hitting every chain where the developers took control in their own hands and started delivering products that were very interesting to other people within the crypto community. Unfortunately, the founder came online, the founder of Avalanche, and basically said that what's happening right now on Avalanche is not even crypto. It's not crypto because all of it is just inscriptions. It's lending into the cheapest area of the state within the blockchain. It's not true ERC20 tokens anyway. And we don't believe that is to continue, and we don't like it. And basically that put a very, very big damper on the whole development of Avalanche inscriptions. And ultimately, they went from like 100 million market cap to something like 5 million market cap. So the air was let out of the balloon by the founder himself. That was the most anti-culture or anti-crypto culture thing to say if you're a founder. Realizing the error in his ways, he a month later came on the stream and said, by the way, we're launching an official Avalanche meme coin. Which is the absolutely retarded take that you would do, or retarded take you would say. Like, why would you do that? You're literally a platform. You're now scared that everybody's leaving your blockchain, and you're desperately trying to hold on to users by launching meme coins from the Avalanche Foundation. You can see how like the fear is just oozing from that type of statement. Like they have realized that they literally said no to the crypto culture. They have rejected the innovation. They have rejected the chain activity rather than embracing it and to say that, hey, we will give grants to things like that so that they will continue to happen. They should have done that, but they haven't. And now Avalanche is back to being a ghost chain, and their token went from like 50 to 25 in just a couple of months. Really sad, actually. So unfortunately, a lot of crypto founders are just like that. They do not understand what the world really wants. They don't listen to the community. They reject the innovation and adoption when it comes and don't even see it for what it is. They call it not crypto. And I think because we have started with the Xen ecosystem the way it was designed, just basically distributing the tokens without any sort of pre-mining, pre-minting, or any sort of like privileged whitelisted accounts, I feel like over this last couple of years, we really got to understand the crypto culture, how it is. And so we think that we are aligned with the world to create the best product possible, and we will not be making mistakes like those other chains are making. And we're also, we believe, we are ourselves part of our community because we have been minting and mining and doing all kinds of things together with the rest of our people. So that makes us probably the best positioned to deliver something that the world really wants.
Okay. And we got Xen Education, I think Zen Su. I will give some updates at the end. Thanks for shouting that out. Rich says, what can Jack tell us about the team that is working for him?
Well, I just feel sorry for them being so the team, my team and I have been working together for many years, like literally from like 2008, which is incredible in itself because they have enough tolerance for my degeneracy, which happens daily, if not hourly. Like we start one project, then we jump into another project, and it's always go. And we literally did not think we're going to be at Solana, and all of a sudden we are learning Rust, and we never did anything with Rust. And now we have delivered the project that actually is taking about 25% of the Solana's block space, literally from a single first try implementation, which is pretty hard to do, I would say. So kudos to my devs being able to have enough patience with me and also with learning all of those new things and getting things done within reasonable timelines and also achieving success. Like I think like Solen is a very successful project right now.
So been with the team since 2008. Feel free to disclose or not disclose. I respect your right to plead the fifth. How big is the team?
It's not that many people, actually. So a big part of the team is ChatGPT. Like literally, it writes so much code for us, it's crazy.
Okay.
So ChatGPT is a culmination of the human knowledge embodying thousands of minds that produced collective intelligence that is currently at our fingertips. All I have to do is hit Option space, and a ChatGPT dialog shows up on my computer. I can ask it anything. I can verify its code. I can literally design anything I want in a language that I never knew. So on one hand, our team is really small, but on the other hand, we're actually borrowing this collective intelligence from the AI LLM model that does amazing stuff. So anyway, teams don't need to be large. We just have like 2 or 3 people really, like including myself, and that's about it. But I feel like we're everywhere. So we are expanding our ecosystem. We're talking to other devs in pretty much every community out there, learning from them and also helping them out with their projects, with the idea that open source and decentralized technology brings us all together.
Okay. Fast Abdul says, come for the crypto, stay for the skin.
Yeah.
All right, here's another Winnian question, but I'm going to bring it up because of the way they phrased it. I thought it was very clever. In which moon phase does Destiny decree our encounter with finished chain? I thought that one was really good.
It will have to be the blood moon phase.
The blood moon. All right, you heard it here first. Launch on the blood moon.
I mean, a strawberry moon is okay, but blood moon is all the rage right now when it comes to the Finnish chain.
Gotcha. All right. Someone says, Jack, how can you prove you are not an AI?
I am an AI. Human organism planted on this planet that's hurling through space, a collection of genes created by thousands of generations, genetically engineered by an alien race from the Pleiades star system.
Okay. Yeah, I've been thinking about that a lot recently around AI. And what's the separating factor between what you just described, the human AI, quote, and the robot AI? Well, I think the differentiating factor is that we're aware of ourselves, which you could argue AI is aware of itself in a way because but it's been told what to be aware of itself. So, when they talk about this singularity event, well, that's like the moment that AI becomes I, you, me, right?
So
The consciousness is the same.
yes, but what if I told you that you being aware of itself is not an obvious truth?
What do you mean?
What if you say that, yes, I am aware of myself, but in reality, this type of an awareness is just a simulation in your own mind. You think you're aware, you think you have consciousness.
Mhm.
But what if you just simulate it? Like, how do you know that your own mind isn't a simulation? Can you actually prove that you're self aware? I don't think you can.
Not ultimately, but minorly at the very least. And why do you cut your hair? Because you think it,
Well,
'cause-
there's a very so I can tell you exactly why I cut my hair. I cut my hair to look better for the stream, and I have recently had a haircut. Now, the reason why I do that is to be engaged with another entity that reflects onto me, as well as everybody else that's listening to the stream, right? So, what's very important to say is that the social component of the awareness plays a huge impact on self-awareness and consciousness. And the thought experiment that we could make is something like this. Let's imagine that you, as a kid, without any memories, were dropped off on an island that has no humans, has no animals either, just has trees, plants, and like maybe some water and whatever. And you're growing up, you're now like 18 or 25 or 30, whatever the time has passed. What is the level of awareness a creature like that were to have, living all alone on an island that never been visited by another human?
Mhm.
Would you really be aware of yourself, or would you identify with an environment that you're currently in? Would you think of yourself like a weird tree, and your hands are actually like tree branches that or whatever leaves that are just weird? Like, would you identify with the environment more than actually with being human? I would argue yes. You would likely be a reflection of an environment you're in because that's all you can relate to. You've never seen anything, so how can you possibly be aware, right? Because you have no symbology to represent self-awareness. You can react to your environment. That could be some sort of an awareness. But the tree is aware of where it can grow and where it cannot grow. If the soil is fertile, it is aware and it starts to grow. If it's not, then well, it doesn't grow so well. And there's like many other things, like it turns towards the sun. Is it aware of the sun? Yeah, it has the genetic programming to be aware of where the source of energy comes from. Therefore, it turns towards it. So it is aware of it. Is it conscious? Not like a human, but certainly there is a level of consciousness within the tree. But the point again is like, will you be like a tree, aware of where the food is, and that's the extent of your awareness? So I would say that our environment definitely shapes our awareness, the way that we feel it or see it. So it is not obvious that awareness is actually a given thing. because environment shapes it.
I'll agree with you there. Well put, well stated. I think maybe the ultimate awareness then would be, even if you were alone on that island, no human context, being a human, you would arguably, and I feel like this can be proven because we see as far as humanity can go back in time, we've seen evidence of this. We're asking the same questions. Where did we come from? What are we doing here? Where are we going? We've seen that in cave writings. We've seen that in old
Yeah, but that's because
ritualistic
you have
ceremonies.
But it's because we have the language that's been created by the social encounters and the sort of like social influence.
But
Like
language
if you
used to
go
be
back to the
ooh, ah, ah, and they were still drawing cave, painting on caves,
sure,
contemplating God and mortality. Like that takes a level of awareness.
but again, like if you take a human, put them in a space where they don't see anything, it's just like empty space, and this is the space they grow into, and they never seen anything ever. Are they aware? What are they aware of? There's nothing. It's nothingness. What are they thinking? What can they think? I would argue there will be an absence of thought in that brain, and it will be completely blank and undeveloped. And therefore, they will. If you take that human out of that space and bring it into some other space that is completely different, like for example this planet, they will not be able to recognize anything that gives them any meaning, and therefore they will not be aware of their environment. So it's all about upbringing, social consciousness, this sort of collectivism that we find ourselves in, that gives us collective awareness and make us react to the environment in a negative or a positive way. So, like, for example, people like certain things, people dislike certain things, and being socially compatible is actually brings success to the social groups. It's part of the genetic code. But in the absence of the social groups, I would say that the mind and the brain will not have any sort of consciousness.
Okay, I can hear what you're saying. In that language, it does a big part of, even when the language was ooh, ooh, ah, ah, right? It was still ooh, ooh, ah, ah, still had connotations of preconceived thoughts and ideas. And
Yeah, can somebody hear me, right? So like why would you like make any noise if there's like nobody to hear?
right, I hear what you're saying, and I have more thoughts on it. That this could be a 2-hour conversation in and of itself. So
Yeah, we should
even
do
though
it.
these are my favorite topics to talk about, maybe we do another philosophy stream soon. We've done one of those too.
We
We have
should
a
do it.
couple more questions that I do want to get to, but
Okay,
thank you
let's
for
do it.
sharing your thoughts on that. These truly are my favorite conversation topics, honestly.
Awesome.
Back to the more mundane. Is anyone still making money with Xen?
Still, I don't know. I mean, did you buy the latest dump at whatever 10 and then sold at 15? If you did, you have made 50%. So yeah, I mean, like there's data on chain to prove that people are still making money with Zen.
Okay. How far are you with setting up the legal part of the Xen X1 Foundation?
I'm closer to that than before I started, but not as close as I want.
Okay. And are you kind of doing an Ethereum Foundation like establishment?
I don't think it's going to be Swiss because there's better options now. But like the legal team thinks that it's best to definitely do it offshore. Um, it just opens up a lot of venues that will be harder to do in the United States. So I'm working with the best legal team to set this up.
Okay. Valid. Shouldn't you be a spokesperson on any blockchain conference? Are you planning to do this?
Yeah, if they have me. And obviously, it's good to be visible. It's good to have marketing like that. I'm going to Singapore 2049, and I think I'm going to stop by the Solana's breakpoint as well. I'm not really certain whether I will be speaking. I don't reject the possibility that it will happen. So, but I don't actually like really spend as much time with PR in any way, because I'm just in the current phase of my life. I'm really focusing on the tech. But of course, I do realize how important it is to do proper marketing, and that's why I have friends like Xen too. He creates amazing videos that actually delivers a lot of both technical and philosophical information to the masses. So where I get to enjoy messing with the code, interacting with the developers, launching projects, destroying blockchains, or helping blockchains. So, but like nothing is ever like closed in my mind in terms of like participation in the blockchain conferences. I feel like there will be more of that once we're off the ground with the first ever Solana fork, because it will be very, very interesting, and I think the world will react positively to that, because I think innovation and the growth of the Solana ecosystem combined with EVM together as a hybrid chain, also with proof of work, there's a lot of knowledge there and know-how that could be expressed for people who are interested to learn.
Okay. So we've got two different users here. I'm going to kind of combine their questions. J Negative says, will AI still be built into X1? And Noob One follows up and says, can the AI transformer still be built into the Solana system for node optimization? Solana works with BFT across all nodes rather than the quorum system. So if you want to
so the quorum system in this particular case, I think the person is referring to something we call a subcommittee. So Ethereum actually works on the subcommittees. There is a process of validation of the blocks where there is a subcommittee that submits the hashes of transactions or blocks being re-executed to a particular subcommittee representative that then later gives it to the currently active block producer, and that's how the Ethereum consensus gets settled. In the Solana ecosystem, there's no subcommittees, and the network produces votes based on the stake weight. So if you have 5,000 nodes and there is, let's say, 68 or 70% of the nodes have the highest stake, those are the nodes that must actually deliver the votes back to the block producer, which in Solana ecosystem they call a leader. When the leader receives enough votes, the block is finalized and then is propagated across the network using the gossip protocol. The problem with this approach that as the network grows, the complexity of the message exchange grows it pretty much grows parabolic. In computer science, we call it big O n squared. So in other words, 100 nodes squared is different than 1,000 nodes squared. So 100 squared is like 4 zeros, but 1,000 is like actually 6 zeros. So basically, parabolic increase in complexity slows down the chain. The introduction of a quorum system or a subcommittee system is definitely what we plan to do. We do plan to implement the transformer engine that actually monitors the network for the best possible nodes to form those subcommittees, so that those subcommittees can receive the portions of the blocks that they can act on or vote on. But rather than every node generating a vote, it would be the confederations and the subcommittees that actually collate all the votes within their own subcategory and deliver it to the leaders without overdriving the TPS of the blockchain. And I know it's a mouthful, but like this sort of subcommittee design is not uncommon in many different chains. Obviously, Ethereum is using it. Avalanche calls it neighborhoods. So every neighborhood is kind of like a subcommittee. So a lot of very interesting things that they do there that makes their consensus ecosystem scalable. In terms of what's helping Solana today is that given that the SVM engine can perform between 50,000 to 100,000 transactions per second, they're not yet close to saturating the network with the consensus messages that actually will slow down the chain. So we're not seeing it yet because the total number of nodes that are participating, there's like maybe 5,000 nodes in the gossip network with only 1,500 nodes actively participating with voting. So that actually means that at the worst, they're going to get 1,500 votes per second, which is about 1,500 TPS per second. But we see that an SVM executive layer can actually handle up to 100,000. So it's 1.5% of capacity, more or less. Subcommittees could potentially wait a little bit before like Solana runs into a problem. But certainly I do plan to work on the subcommittees from the very beginning so that we can have a path forward to scaling.
Okay. I think this is a good final question to ask you. What question would you like to be asked that hasn't been asked yet?
My motivation. Why do I do this all?
Why do you do this all?
Well, there's a Maslow pyramid of what is it called? Like you probably know more about this Maslow pyramid of satisfaction, or
I know what you're talking about. Let me see. But go ahead. I'll
it's
look it up.
it's that thing that we study in psychology.
Oh, the hierarchy of needs.
Right. So the hierarchy of needs. So the first thing that the human obviously needs is like food and be able to, sustain themselves. Then there's like social aspects, so on and so forth. Ultimately, I think we as humans programmed to be as social as possible, and ultimately that's what drives success in any human, is how well they can represent themselves to the world. But at the same time, the world can reject them, so it's a very, very dangerous endeavor. So you have to be a master communicator. You actually have to participate in things that people like to do. Like, what like is a master of something that's not like nobody cares about? Well, back in the day, 300 years ago, 500 years ago, you could be like ostracized from a village, and you go and you like can't find food, you can't hunt by yourself, you basically die, right? So therefore, like Maslow came up with this like pyramid of needs. So I think we're programmed to be to self-actualize ourselves, because that's the top of the pyramid. So what this means to me when it comes to self-actualization is ability to interact with the world in the most meaningful way possible. Crypto happens to be one of those very interesting layers within our civilization that combines the human's desire for being in control with the technological advances that can actually give you ability to be a self-sovereign individual, because ultimately that's what Bitcoin was designed to be. The number one thing is that cryptography is one way. You have a private key that belongs to you, but anybody can send you money. Money is just a token of some sort of credit that you can then use for your own needs, or you can give it to someone else, so on and so forth. And there's no middleman. So that is what people want on the individual level. They want self-sovereignty. And that's how like democracy also work, right? And so loading a democratic process into this like technological layer that can serve our needs as humans, is probably the most interesting thing that I perceive that drives me towards my self-actualization. So I want the humans around me and everywhere else in the world to benefit from all of those technologies that are currently being built. And I want to be part of this builder community that brings it to being. Ultimately, it makes me feel like I'm actually bettering the world by making everybody else's lives better. And crypto happens to be aligning with those principles that I just mentioned when it comes to self-actualization and basically driving the technology to something that's never been done before is obviously also very, very interesting. But like if you think about it, 20 years ago there was no Bitcoin. Nobody wanted it, cared about it. Like why did nobody care about it? Well, maybe because the trust in the government or the trust in the human hierarchy was a little bit stronger. And then you could see that let's say 15 years ago and like 2007, 2009, 2008, there's this financial stress where people no longer feel like they're in control and they cannot actually trust the people that make decisions on top of them somewhere else. And so the system starts this like slow collapse. Or I'm not saying that structurally it's collapsing, but definitely the ability to trust someone else to have your best interest in heart has been diminished. I think we all agree with that. Crypto solves the majority of those problems when it comes to self-sovereignty, self-custodial ownership, freedom of transmitting of information, data, or value anywhere in the world without being censored. So I think it's one of the most important technologies that we see being developed and becoming easier to use in the next 10 years. And I just want to be part of it. So, and that's how I feel self-actualized, by bringing this closer to its final stages.
That was a great answer. And I think in many ways, I share a lot of those same sentiments with you as a fellow builder in the space. So it's actually one thing that I've always appreciated about you as a human is that you are capable of going to these deeper levels, both, emotionally, spiritually, whatever you classify yourself as, but also from a technical perspective. So thank you for sharing that. Someone actually says, that's why Jack is Jack. Why? Not when, but why he does this. And Simple Water.
That's really cool.
And Simple Waters asked, and I actually want to throw an answer at this one, and of course, you can as well. He says, in your opinion, what's the difference between self-actualization and self-realization? Well, they're kind of, you could make the argument that they're one and the same, but the suffix ization actually means the making of, the creating of. So with that in mind, realization is the creating of something real, the making of something real, and the actualization is the creating or making of something actual. So you could argue that they're synonymous, but I think maybe the one tinge of a difference is that the realization is the knowledge. You have realized, you now know the thing, whereas the actualization is creating that thing, embodying that thing in real life. So realization is step one, actualization is step two. That would be my perspective there.
I think I totally agree. I think in my mind, a realization is basically something that's innate, that you realize within yourself. Like you realize that you're capable of doing something, and now that you have realized it, you can actualize it into being by working on it.
Exactly. Yep, well said. And then Mustafa says, some advice for Jack. Please talk to us more often. Share what you are working on and give us more clarity often. Helps you stay positive. Obviously, people like hearing from you.
Awesome. I'm glad that it's helping people to stay positive. I think, you know how they say in the crypto world, WAGNI, WAGMI. So
WAGMI.
we're all gonna make it one way or the other.
Oh yeah, it's all about that. All about that. WAGMI.
There was this thing in the conference. It was really, really cute. It was a bunch of swag, and they had the sign called "Swag Me." So they put an S in front of the W.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Swag me.
Yeah.
We're all gonna swag. All right. Well, on my end, the last thing, if you got another moment, just going back to Xen Su's thing here, just some quick updates with Internet Money. If you're out there watching and you're not familiar, we are a MetaMask alternative. So everything you're used to doing on MetaMask, you can do with Internet Money, which when X1 was the Phantom fork, well, we were obviously all full support there. We're, still in support, of course, but now we'll just have to, we want to go to Solana anyway. So this different conversation, but we do a couple cool things. Like we don't collect any user data. So we know nothing about any of our customers, any of our users, which is great for the user, makes it a little harder in development, but it's worth it. We don't censor Texas. You can transact on Internet Money in Texas. We have a cool feature that's the only wallet in crypto that does this at this time, is we share 100% of our revenue with our token holders. So if you're holding our token, right now it exists on Pulse Chain, Ethereum, Binance, and Polygon. You actually earn 100% of the revenue that the wallet generates on those chains in the form of the native coin. So not our token. You hold our token time, you earn Pulse, ETH, BNB, and Matic. We would love to bring that to Solana and X1 and launch that same technology within the wallet there. So that's kind of the overview. Whereas the updates are, since the last time you and I talked, we went through our second security audit, and now we're fully open source. So that's been a great step for us. We've started to build that community developer, or that developer community within the wallet. That's been great. We're available on Android, iOS, and Chrome, of course. And the big thing we're working on right now, it's live in private beta, is in-app NFT support. So for the Xen NFTs, you'll be able to view and track all of that right from within the wallet. It'll, have the pictures. And I think, on the Xen NFTs, if I remember correctly, you have the metadata that shows like the different stats that are on the Xen NFT. It's been a while since I've looked at them. Maybe like time or amount or rarity and stuff like that. So all that will show in the wallet. All the EVM chains that you track Xen on, obviously that's all in the wallet. You can interact with any token, just, of course. And we're also working on, well, this one's a little further down the pipeline, but other high priorities for us are fiat on-ramping and in-app bridging. So obviously there's a lot more going on, but I just wanted to provide a quick update and a quick how-to of who we are and what we do. Oh, somebody says, I see 3 types of Internet Money tokens. What is the difference? We'll have to, when we can dive a little deeper, we'll break that down. But the core token in our ecosystem is time dividend, or time. That is, by holding it, you earn the income from the Internet Money wallet. No staking, no locking. Time remains liquid 100% of the time. Mutable, no admin keys. It's beautiful. Now, the future token is, as we launch time on future EVM chains, you will get an airdrop, 1-to-1 airdrop. So if you're holding future, you get time on future chains, hence the name future. And Internet Money is what we're striving to make our peer-to-peer digital cash. We want to, us being a wallet, we want to actually have people use the wallet to transact for goods and services. So you do that with Internet Money, right? In the grand scheme of everything we're doing here in crypto is Internet Money. So the token itself, we feel like embodied that. It's deflationary. It's decentralized. There's no team allocation on internet money. It's fully in the hands of the community. Actually, the biggest holder on Ethereum and Binance is the DEX. So very, very decentralized, and no team allocation, because we don't want to. How can you have a currency when the team has 80% of it? Yeah, it's kind of defeats the purpose of it. So that's the high level. But if you're interested in learning more, go to internetmoney.io. You can click join our community. That'll take you to our Telegram chat. We're at 6,000 members and growing. Happy to deep dive and talk all things internet money anytime. With that, Jack,
Awesome.
Anything else you would like to say? Closing thoughts.
No, I think we pretty much covered everything, including skincare. I would say join our Telegram groups, follow my Twitter, join our spaces. There's a lot of conversations happens almost daily. Participate in our community, bring in innovation, learn together with us, and let's fucking go. Let's get something off the ground that's incredibly amazing and used by millions of people. I think we're still early in crypto, and everybody who is listening to this stream and who are part of our community, we're still super early, and we're discovering new things like literally daily. And that's what's so incredible about innovation, and being part of the community is like absolutely paramount. So I just want to say thank you to our community for sticking to us for almost 2 years. We would not be where we are without you, and we hope to earn your trust by continuously delivering and making an impact on the world. Thank you.
Well said, Jack. And with that, in the description, you can get Jack's contact info. And Jack, I'm going to drop you down for just a moment, say some closing thoughts, and then I'm going to wrap up the stream. But thanks for being here today. Thanks for sharing all your insight for over almost 3 hours. It was great catching up. Salud.
Same here.
All right, everybody. So I hope you enjoyed that stream today. If you're just tuning in, we covered a lot of information. So even if you have to break it up in multiple parts to catch it all, it was well worth it. Jack ran us through every question basically that anybody asked, whether it was bullishness or FUD. He addressed it. We talked about X1 updates. We talked about VMPX and Xen and Solana and Ethereum. We deep dove into layer 2s. He showed us rollup.wtf, which was a very cool tool that I'm going to look at going forward. But a lot of good information packed into that stream. We even covered his perspective on AI and human awareness. So that's going to be another stream that we'll probably deep dive into, but we covered a lot of good information. If you're new to the internet money community, welcome. This is the type of content that we like to provide. We like to deep dive into products, giving everybody a voice. And when I say deep dive, we're not afraid to get technical. This isn't just a marketing channel. We want to learn crypto. And as we learn, we want people to learn alongside of us. And we want to build technology that embodies what we truly believe crypto is supposed to be. Private, secure, decentralized, no middlemen, self-custody, these things that are your right as a human being. That's the type of stuff we like to talk about on this channel. Philosophy, self-sovereignty, education. And if you have not downloaded the Internet Money Wallet, give us a chance. We are constantly innovating, and we're constantly protecting user privacy by nature of not having any of your data. We're available on Android, iOS, and Chrome. My name is KG, and until next time, peace.
Got my own key, let my own coin. Gotta protect this money. Took too long for me to get it. Can't let them take this from me.